Hey everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report, and I thought, hey, how about starting the Sunday off by pissing off some Christians, some Catholics, some Muslims, some Jews, some Baptists, and you name it, and just asking, what is the difference? What is the difference between a cult and a religion? And I asked that with some sincerity. I was baptized. I'm a Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic. I went for a short period of time to a Catholic school. I'm not exactly a Catholic anymore, although I still watch the Pope every time. I still go to the Pope, to the Vatican to watch him every Sunday when I'm in Italy on a regular basis. But I don't consider myself a practicing Catholic. And I have a struggle. And the struggle is believing in religion, yet not believing in religion after years of having been inundated in it. And it's a struggle that many of us face today, especially with what we see out there. And you'll be surprised. Religions essentially are cults. And cults are religions, aren't they? And like it says on my title above, are cults small and popular religions? Are religions large, popular cults? And if you think about it, there's a lot of stuff. People go around, they talk a lot about that Scientology up in Clearwater. Not a fan of them. I think they're a cult, but I think all religions are cults, and they are deemed a religion. And I saw an interesting quote or quiz, and it said to ask these qualities of these religious groups and determine which one's a cult or a religious group. And they said, who practices a lot of zeal and unquestionable commitment to their leader, be it dead or alive. And is that a religion? Is that a cult? You can't really tell, can you? When doubt, when skepticism, when debate is discouraged, religion or a cult. Where members go out and they try to find new members, they try to find money. A lot of people often criticize organizations like Scientology because they're money grubbers. And they say, well, Catholics don't do that. But don't they really? I'll cover some numbers in a bit, but you essentially, with Judaism and stuff, you have to put in money. It's all about the money. Have you ever been? I've been to the Vatican. I've been inside the Vatican. There's so much wealth there. They own so much property. What are they doing with it? Couldn't they distribute it more to help more of the less fortunate instead of talking about it more? Think about it. It's tricky. There's notorious things out there. Notorious things that we hear about when it comes to religion. When we talk about cults. But what is the division there? It's fuzzy. That whole line between what is a religion, what is a cult, it gets real fuzzy. And so what truly is it? There's some notorious things you hear about when it comes to organized religion. When it comes to cult. That fuzzy line. We live in a world, a modern world, where it's dictated. We have mandates, we have reasons, we have democracy, we have science, everything is out there. We have a lot of information at our hands. And when you start looking at all the information, you look at a lot of the absurdities out there. You go back and you look at Adam and Eve, how they came about. Does that sound real? What makes that more true than you look at the alien shows? What is it? Ancient Aliens. And their perspective that it was a DNA induced, and that's how Adam and Eve came about. Which one makes more logic? It's not too clear. And if you just look at some of these cults out there, the more infamous ones, they financially exploit people like Scientology. Not a good thing there. I've seen a lot of documentaries on them. Not a fan at all. They require the members to get out there. You got to literally buy into the religion. It's basically all your money goes into their faith. And they're not exactly persuading you so much. They persuade some, but a lot of it's coercion. To get members, to get their families there. Not unlike the people like the Moonies out there. And not all cults are bad cults. I was reading an article about the cult of Mary. She was devoted to the worship of Jesus. Jesus' mother. And this was done in conjunction with the Christian practice. Now it's a cult. But because of the practice, because of their beliefs, it's an acceptable cult. But what makes that cult more acceptable than another one? A Scientology one. A Mason one, a Manson one, if you will. And when you get out there defining religion, it's a real thorny issue. It's a real problematic issue, if you think about it. It's not that easy how you define it. You can define it by what the government deems it when they put out their tax-free status. I don't know. You know, I think it was back in 93, Scientology. They were recognized. U.S. Internal IRS, they came in, they said, you're recognized. You're an official religion. Yet, widely, amongst many people throughout the world, they're considered a cult. They got their secret core beliefs. They explain the secret mystery. What is his name? R.L. Robinson. I can't even pronounce his name. Actually, someone just locally just won an award for a drawing that they had. It's a great mystery. You know, they have superhuman characters in their religious beliefs. They have a strict moral guide. I remember watching a documentary where a person says it's on a husband and wife. They have a kid. They both met in Scientology. They don't remember really doing anything wrong, and next thing you know, they're being demoted to this level. I forget exactly what it was deemed, what it's called. Next thing you know, they had to clean the kitchen, clean the mess, and these were high-level directors. They couldn't look anyone in the eye. You know, to many outsiders, it looks like a cult. Why do they have religious status? But then a lot of people wonder why many religions have a religious status. And, you know, maybe the problem is that not cults that you got. Maybe the problem isn't the cults that are out there parading around as religions. But when you get these religions that start to act like cults. You know, a cult. They say a cult is anything that intends to benefit greatly financially, mentally, maybe get bodily harm to their members as well as non-members. But a lot of the cults out there harm people. They don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're out there offering salvation. I'm sure Scientology thinks they're offering salvation to their individuals. And when you think about it, it's essentially religion is an old cult. A cult is a new religion. I've picked that up from some of my reading. I thought that's interesting. That's an interesting statement, a cult. Every religion out there began essentially as a cult. Think about it. What separates most religions from Scientology? They begin with a few members out there. Just like cults do. I was reading where Abraham was out there. He founded Judaism. He went out. He communicated with God. And why? If there's only one God, why is there so many religions? Sorry, I just got to start thinking about that. But his family became the first family to carry that burden. Jesus had his 12 apostles. They went in, they published his life after his crucifixion. We all know the rest of the story. You got Muhammad out there. He started with just a few followers in Mecca. Then he gathered his army. You know, a lot of people say he gathered his army, and his basic thought was immigration. We immigrate, and slowly we take over territory, not unlike what they're doing now. Don't go in there with armies, just immigrate. Mix in with society. That's what they basically did in Medina before they were conquered there. They go around, they do all the preaching, they get new members follow them. They take over territory, say, oh my God commanded me to do it. God, he told me to do this. Take over these territories, settle on the land. Convert territories, make them follow my faith. They all have bloody histories. If you go back and look at all major religions, they have bad histories, bloody wars, all waged in the name of God. This one God. Yet so many religions that hate each other. They have disdain for each other. You know, if you think about it, a cult can essentially be used to describe what is a religion whose beliefs differ from society, the norm. You know, the Roman Empire thought the Christians were a cult, if you want to go that far, couldn't you? They worshiped this guy Jesus. They didn't worship the Roman God. So wasn't it Christians, when they essentially started out, weren't they essentially a cult? And that whole definition, isn't it basically relative? You know, Christianity was essentially a cult that's relative to the established order of the day, if you think about it. The pagans, let's go, the pagans. They've been criticized for their cultish manners. You know, there's this group out there, the CARM, the Christian Apologetics and Research Ministry. They warn that a cult is usually unorthodox, esoteric, a devotion to one person, one object, one set of core ideas, core values. And it makes you question what's unorthodox from one religion to the other. You know, I don't know if that holds water or what. Perhaps, maybe. Maybe a cult's just a corporation, you know, out there masquerading. That's how many people view it. I'm sure many people view Catholicism, Scientology, as a corporation masquerading as a religion. More so with Scientology. Where are they out there? Are they out there trying to swindle clients of their hard-earned dollars? They're one of the richest organizations in the world. Land, businesses, stores, facilities. But even cults, even though they're notorious for picking the pockets of their members, aren't all religions like that? You know, they take their money up front. They say, hey, we're taking it. We want your money. But they found out, there was a study in 2005, that the average membership to a Jewish synagogue was around $1,100. And it varies. That's the average. If you go to churches, they don't customarily say, hey, we want membership dues. They ask for the donations at the end of Mass. You know, they pass around the bucket. At the church, Catholic Church, they pass around the little basket, asking for your donations. And you feel pressured to get money in there. You're sitting next to people, they're all donating. But they don't require it up front. But they look for it. They expect it. And we all know big religion builds them, they deal in big bucks. Temples, churches, mosque. There's some of the most endowed operations. Like I said, I've been in the Vatican. I've been in many places. And it's astonishing. Sometimes I listen to Pope Francis up there, the Jesuit, they call him the Black Pope. He'll preach to you about building walls, not building walls yet. They got this wall. Everybody knows. I did a film when I was in Italy. I got to find it, a video. And I said, look, they're preaching not to build a wall. And I was standing outside the wall of the Vatican. And essentially they established that to fight back the Muslims. It worked for them, but not for everybody else. They preach about giving back to the less fortunate. But you don't see that. You see so much wealth just sitting there and not being distributed. So what's the difference? Can anyone honestly sit there and say that just the cults are financially exploiting people? No, you can't. And so I have a hard time sitting here wondering what really distinguishes a cult from a religion. And isn't religion essentially a cult that's more popularly accepted? They're entrenched. They've been around for a while. They've established themselves. They've grown from being a cult in the days of Jesus when he was out there and the Roman soldiers viewed them as a cult to an established religion. And religions, they all thrive on that degree of the unknown. There's inexplicable mysteries out there. So what is the true answer? I know there's a place in society for religion. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I said, look, I get it. I get the whole religious thing. It helps a lot of people. It helps a lot of people to grow. It helps a lot of people to deal with the evils in life. Religion has its place in society. I get that. I think most of us understand that. My question here, though, is what is the difference between a cult and religion? What makes one better than the other? I'm sure a lot of people, even though we don't think so, I think a lot of people within Scientology would say it's benefited me. Sure, I've given them a lot of money. But haven't you in your religion? All good questions. Food for thought. I thought, hey, why not start off the Sunday by pissing off some people, which I'm sure I will. What say you guys? What's the difference? Are cults small and popular religions? Are religions large, established, popular cults? That's the question of the hour, isn't it? Everybody have a great day. This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.